This is pretty cool. Scientists have found a signal in the brain that only shows up when you're conscious, including dreaming, but you have to be actually experiencing. This is one of the holy grails of consciousness research, right? What brain activity reliably accompanies our awareness, our consciousness? A piece of the so-called neural correlates of consciousness. We had largely assumed that signature would live in the cortex, the big outer brain that really separates us from most other animals. However, this study found it in the thalamus, which is an older, deeper brain structure that has largely been written off in this context as a switchboard that relays signals. But this also ties in really well with a study that came out last year showing that the thalamus acts as a gatekeeper of consciousness. What they did was they had people look at a screen, and at the edges of their vision they showed faint images while recording their brain activity, and they could reliably predict whether or not the person would become aware of an image at the edge of their vision based on the activity in the thalamus. In other words, like the thalamus decided what got promoted to conscious awareness. So this new signal, which is an oscillation of brain activity 20 to 45 times per second when we're conscious, tracks whether we're conscious, and last year's paper shows that what we're conscious of is gatekept by the thalamus. Now, the thalamus isn't likely what we're experiencing, like activity in there. That's a much more complicated question, but it is a critical piece of figuring out how we become aware of what we become aware of.